The brand new trailer for Ahsoka Season 2 just released, so here's everything you might have missed. Alright, right out the gate from the first frame, we got ourselves Dathomir here. Definitely looks like Dathomir. Obviously, we've seen Dathomir in tons of projects. We saw it in the Clone Wars. We saw it in Tales of the Empire. And this is also where Thrawn ends the first season. On it, we also see some, what looks like U-Wings. So clearly the New Republic is arriving on Dathomir, but we'll get into that in a bit. There's a little bit of the battle as well, as you can see in this frame here. I thought this was really interesting as well because you see a lot of Thrawn's night troopers, but if you look closely, you'll also see some night sisters with their bows, like with their bow and arrows, which I thought was really cool. It's really going to be an all-out ground assault from the looks of it, and it looks pretty sick. I really like where this is going. Then we enter what's arguably one of the coolest scenes of the trailer. There is a few things to dissect from this. First of all, we have a young Ahsoka, played by Ariana Greenblatt, who played her in Season 1. She did a phenomenal job. Based on the look of her, I would say this is probably around Season 3 of the Clone Wars. She seems a little bit more mature, but she's still in that Padawan phase. You'll also notice with her outfit, she's wearing like a snow outfit. Fun fact, this outfit was actually just recently shown at D23 on display there. On top of that, Dave Filoni also did create a Christmas card back in 2025 with this same outfit too. So clearly there's some inspiration there. And of course, we see Anakin right by her side. He also has a snow outfit, and this was also shown at D23, giving like a little first-hand look. Now, what's really interesting about Anakin's kind of snow outfit here, he actually wore something very similar back in Season 1 of the Clone Wars. Season 1, Episode 15, he and Obi-Wan went on a mission together. In it, he did wear this blue sort of snow outfit. There are some differences, but it is a similar vibe. They are on this snow type of planet here. Now, you'll see a bunch of dead clone troopers on the ground, which I thought were interesting. We can't see the visors, so I can't tell if it's Phase 1 or Phase 2 clone troopers. Don't seem to have any coloring on them. You know, like Anakin had his 501st with the blue stripes. And they're all dead, what it seems like. Now, I saw some theories online that a lot of people think that this planet could be Ilum. Ilum was the snow planet where Jedi would get their kyber crystals. We saw Ahsoka have an episode with that, with the younglings, and we also saw it with Cal Kestis in the Jedi Fallen Order game. It would be cool. I mean, maybe this is like a flashback to show how Ahsoka got her second lightsaber. You know, it is a snow planet, so it could potentially be Ilum, but we're unsure for now. Now, here's where things get really insane, though. Okay, this guy, right? This is very interesting. Now, right out the gate, he's clearly some type of humanoid species. We don't know what species, but he has some really cool face markings. Kind of reminds me of a Zabrak, kind of like what Maul is, you know? Now, one thing I really want to point out, though, is his lightsaber. This lightsaber here is unlike anything we've seen. First off, it's teal colored. The only times we've ever seen a teal colored lightsaber is in Legends and in Jedi Survivor. We've never seen it in a live action project, so right out the gate, this looks sick. Now, as for the hilt design, as you can see, this isn't like a normal double-bladed lightsaber, like say what Maul has, right? If you look closely, you can see that he's holding one hilt in each hand. And this was seen before once in Star Wars Legends. Now, back years ago, there was a character named Nomad Damon. Nomad Damon used an identical lightsaber, but just in red. And you can see in this image that should be on the screen here that it looks basically identical, right? Now, fun fact about this is that this art piece was actually fan art and it was submitted for a Star Wars magazine. We're not sure if Dave Filoni took inspiration from that fan art. I'd like to think he did, because if so, that'd be pretty cool. So I'm thinking this guy is not like a typical Jedi. I'm thinking like a dark Jedi. Perhaps he left the Jedi Order, you know, something like that, because clearly you can tell by his vibe and his saber color that he's not an ordinary Jedi, right? Especially if this is during the Clone Wars era. And so from there, we see him fight Ahsoka and Anakin, but this is now where things get a little interesting, right? Notice how Ahsoka is fighting with only one lightsaber. And if you look on her hip here, she does have a second saber, right? But she's only fighting with one. And I did some breaking down, and this is what I personally think. Back in Season 1, we saw Anakin and Ahsoka have these, you know, flashbacks and stuff like that to when she was younger. And what was it for? It was to teach Ahsoka a lesson, right? And I think Ahsoka is being taught another lesson here by Anakin. So when we see her use one lightsaber, that connects to the present, because Ahsoka in the present only also has one lightsaber. We saw her get her other saber chopped off during the fight against Morgan Elsbeth. So this could be her, you know, her little flashback, and maybe it's a lesson on how to fight with one saber, because she was so accustomed to two. You know, maybe Anakin teaches her a little bit. I thought that connects a little bit. Anyways, I thought that was a really cool sequence. Seems like a fun lightsaber duel. I mean, just seeing a teal saber is sick. Never seen that before in live action, so that's just awesome. The fight looks really fun. And of course, we get a Force Ghost Anakin. He is back. It is so cool to see Hayden get all the love that he deserves. Back as Anakin Skywalker. So well deserved, and it's super, super, super cool. And then over here, we got Thrawn. I mean, Thrawn looks better than ever. He's got an entire Imperial fleet, multiple Star Destroyers, and again, this does look like Dathomir. I might be totally wrong, but just the coloring and the aesthetic and the vibe, it does remind me of Dathomir. Then moving on a bit forward, we see Hera again. We see Ezra in a cool green outfit. Looks super cool. And then we got Senator Seaon. Now, Xiono was back in season 1, and it's funny with this image because he and Hera, they beefed a lot. He didn't believe her. He didn't believe Ezra was still around. So this should be really funny with them two sharing a scene together, you know, proving that Hera was right all along. Moving a little forward, we got Thrawn in his quarters. That looks absolutely amazing, and he's kind of just like meditating there. You know, this reminds me of that image. There's a behind the scenes image of him back in season 1 smoking a cigarette. I thought it was hilarious. If you put these two images side by side, it's literally identical. So I thought that was a little funny little meme there. Then we see Hera again with Seaon next to her. Now, fun fact, this is the home one. This is Admiral Akbar's ship, same one we see in Ahsoka season 1, and of course, Return of the Jedi. So from the looks of it, and from what I've heard, and from what people have said, and what Dave Filoni himself has teased, Admiral Akbar will be having a bigger role. Not sure what capacity, but I'm sure he'll be taking the lead and taking the charge a little bit. And then we got hundreds of TIE fighters here. Now this is insane to me. We got TIE fighters, we got TIE bombers. Now look at these TIE bombers, right? Under each and every one of them is like kind of like a pod. Now I might be totally wrong, but from the looks of it, these were called mole miners. And they were actually first seen in Legends. And basically what they can do is just mine through things, right? Including ships. And we see it here. We see them drop them, and it goes right through this tunnel here, right through the ship, and boom, right? And then out come the Night Sisters with their bow and arrows, right? Insane, looks incredible. So that could be a good way for the Empire to board the New Republic vessels. We'll see, but that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from it. Now, like I just mentioned, we do see Night Sisters drop in and right to the action. They got their bow and arrows. Looks insane. This is straight out of the Clone Wars, straight out of the Tales of the Empire. And I love the Night Sister design they use for them. They look menacing. So seeing them in live action more and more, even expanding on season 1, looks great. And again, once again, we see Dathomir once more. Looks incredible. Now, if we pause it right there as well, we do see what looks like the Great Mothers in the back. Now, the Great Mothers were part of season 1. They were on Peridia and they helped guide Thrawn back to the galaxy. On top of that, we see Enoch. Enoch was, you know, Thrawn's basically second in command with the gold face. We see a bunch of the Night Troopers again, and then boom, another Dathomirian right there. Looks like a Night Sister. Now, this is where I think things get pretty interesting because Ahsoka here now talks about how she has a vision of war. So I don't want to get too much into plot points or theories for plots as much in this video, but my theory is that Ahsoka is on Peridia, super far away, and she's having these visions of war. She's having these visions of destruction that's going on back in the normal galaxy. Also, really, really cool as well. Sabine looks different. She's growing out her hair. Been around Peridia for a while now, maybe. Time has passed. So Sabine has longer hair. Also, what I noticed is that her armor has more color. This is not the same kind of armor color and artistry that she had in season 1. As we all know from Rebels, Sabine is an artist. You know, she loves to draw, she loves to make art. And just like Anakin and Ahsoka's outfits from earlier, this was also showcased at D23. You can get an up close look at it on the screen right now. Looks really, really cool. But yeah, moving on to some naval battle. We got some B-Wings here. This was pretty rare to see. Really, really cool that they pulled from the lore to add this in. And they got their lasers firing up. Moving a little forward, that we then get some snow action here. Now, this still looks like Peridia, I want to say. This is who I want to talk about. Baylan Skoll is back. Now, sadly, the actor Ray Stevenson sadly passed away, so he won't be reprising his role as Baylan Skoll, but Rory McCann will. Rory McCann, from what I've seen, is a phenomenal actor, and I feel like they nailed it. I mean, God, he looks great. He really looks like Baylan from season 1. He really looks like Ray Stevenson. Clearly reunites with Shin Hati here. Obviously, they separated a bit in season 1, so that should be interesting to see their dynamic and see if they reunite together. You're not sure, you know? Now, I did a little bit of a breakdown here, but look at his face in this shot right here, right? He ignites his saber and he looks scared, like, right? He looks really scared. because he's looking at something on the ground. Now that could be Shin on the ground. Maybe he thinks she's dead for a second and then rescues her or something like that, but he looks shocked. Yeah, okay. Literally the next frame that answers that, because she's literally looking at him. So maybe he was shocked to see her, and yeah, that's that. Now, one thing I found interesting, right? We get yet another, I'd say a naval battle, looks like it, but there's a blue planet underneath. So this is not Dathomir anymore. We saw this, you know, the fight scenes going on earlier on Dathomir with the red planet. Obviously, now it's like a blue planet. So maybe we get some more naval action on this blue planet. We got to see. We got Chopper, of course. Hope we see a lot of him this season. And then we got Zeb and Ezra reuniting and hugging. I thought that was so sweet. Seeing these two together will be awesome. And who knows? If you guys watch the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, we do know at the end that we leave a little bit of a cliffhanger with Rada the Hutt and where he ends up in the New Republic. So maybe we see Rada. You know, maybe Rada helps out with the gang. You never know. So that would be pretty cool. But regardless, it's super sweet seeing Zeb and Ezra together in live action. Speaking of Ezra, he's back in that green outfit now, this time in an A-Wing. Looks really cool. This seems to be his pilot outfit. Really, really love it. See a little bit more of that Ahsoka flashback. And then boom, back to Dathomir. I mean, God, another ground battle that we saw earlier. I love this shot in specific because we see Ezra leading the charge. You see Chopper in the back, you see a bunch of New Republic soldiers. Now, what's interesting about his outfit here, right, is that this outfit was actually first shown in an Ahsoka Season 2 promotional image months ago. Seems to be the same outfit. Really gives me like Han Solo vibes. I really, really like it. I'm not sure what role Ezra will take and what character, you know, how he'll develop and mature in this season. But I do get a lot of Han Solo vibes just from his outfit right here. I really, really like it as well. And of course, we see Hayden coming back as Anakin, reprising his role, this time as a Force Ghost as well. That's going to be incredible. So now, like, to see him embrace this role now in Ahsoka, really, really excited to see that. And it looks like he hasn't even aged a day from Revenge of the Sith. I mean, God, it literally looks like this came out a year after episode 3. It looks fantastic. Again, there we go. Ahsoka with one saber, not two. I do think that'll play a role. Now, this is interesting. They're also cornered by a bunch of creatures here. Now, looking closely, these creatures do look like droids. If you look at one at their back, it's like a shell. It's like a metal shell. Oh, this frame is awesome. So we got Enoch versus Ezra. Now, for those that don't know, Enoch is holding the Blade of Talzin. We first saw the Blade of Talzin back in the Clone Wars. Can't wait to see his saber skill, see what he's made of. Should be interesting. And they lock in. Look at that. They lock in. And again, I feel like we're going to see a lot of maturity with Ezra in this season. Seems like he's going to have a big role. So I'm excited for that. We got another look at Shin Hati here. And she's going up against Huyang. Now, something I noticed that's very, very interesting about this scene is that here is, okay, Huyang is going full on General Grievous. Look at his bottom left saber and his top right saber, right? Those are actually not yellow sabers, right? If you compare the colors in the next frame, you can clearly see that two of them are more green than yellow. To me, these two green sabers look identical to Ahsoka's lime green saber from the Clone Wars. In the Clone Wars, she wielded two sabers. She had a green one and one that was like a lighter colored green. It was interesting. I can't find any lore explanation to it. Always try to look, can't really find it anywhere. Hope we get a little bit of an explanation. That would be cool. We got another POV of Enoch versus Ezra. And again, doesn't that outfit just scream Han Solo? I love it. It looks great. So super, super cool. And then we get another space battle, but look at this one. This one is on a green planet. Honestly, it looks like Nal Hutta from the Mandalorian and Grogu in the Clone Wars. Probably is not Nal Hutta, but from the looks of it, we're having 3 total space battles so far. And I think that's pretty cool. Now, this is a scene I really wanted to digest. Ahsoka and Sabine fight up against these droids, right? Look very closely at this droid in specific and his face, right? See those lines above his eyes? Now, for those that don't know, General Grievous was a Kaleesh species before he became a cyborg, before all of his injuries and all that good stuff. Well, not really good stuff, bad stuff. Their facial features, their faces look almost identical. So I think this might be just like an inspiration from the Kaleesh. Star Wars has done that before, especially with Ralph McQuarrie's original concept art. You know, they took Vader, the original concepts for Vader, and that's how they got the design for Rebels. But it does look like the Kaleesh species. So thought that was really interesting. I might be totally wrong. It might be a stretch, but I do see a heavy resemblance. And with that, that concludes the trailer. That's it. Ahsoka Season 2. Personally, I think this season is really going to be great. And I feel like they're able to also have a lot more freedom with the trailer as well, because back in season 1, they didn't really promote Anakin a lot because that was such a big surprise and such a big reveal. So just seeing him a part of this trailer, it just makes me so happy to see. So I'm super stoked for Ahsoka season 2, releasing on January 20th, 2027. So there's not that much time left. So we'll be there soon. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this just a little rough breakdown video and things you might have missed. And hope you guys are excited for Ahsoka season 2. Let me know in the comments, what are your predictions for the upcoming season and what do you hope to see? Thanks for watching, and may the force be with you always.